It was his daughter Beth, an art student at the time, who encouraged Mr. Lem to take up painting. He took her advice, painting a depiction of a simple pastoral scene. Apparently, he wasn't very impressed with his first creation. "It was absolutely no good," he said in an interview with Dave Beatty of the Charlotte News in 1968, but it was enjoyable. Local residents would often see Mr. Lem creating his works as he sat outside on a small stool, a paintbrush in hand. With no training, formal or otherwise, he used smooth pieces of board and ordinary household paint to create his primitive paintings that would eventually be seen in museums as far away as Washington, D.C. He's been described as a chicken farmer, an avid walker, sometimes actor, frequent jokester, but he started as a barber. Later became North Carolina's first licensed male beautician.
But my claim to fame for almost all of my life that I can remember, when people would find out that my maiden name was Nolen, they would always say, "Your grandfather gave me my very first permanent." His hands were so big and maybe that's because I was a child, but it's amazing to me that he was able to do hair at all. And he cut my hair like in a little butch cut for years.
And he decided to take up painting at the tender age of 70. Lemuel Moore Nolen was born in the Charles Emmanuel Reinhardt House in Lincolnton in 1889. His father was a Civil War veteran and a dentist. Mr. Lem married Emma Beatrice Crouse April 23, 1908. By the early 1960s, Nolen's work had caught the attention of art aficionados across the country. The February 25, 1961 issue of the Saturday Evening Post mentioned Lem Nolen of Crouse in an article about the country's increasing interest in the arts. As an artist, Nolen wasn't always known for his accurate depictions. According to Catherine Beam Sappenfield, Nolen only painted houses facing in one direction. She also recalls him painting a portrait of her brother in which the subject had 36 front teeth. Milton Baker remembers a Lem Nolen painting that showed a horse with its leg going the wrong way. The painting's owner, Bob Turner, pointed out the mistake and Mr. Lem offered to correct it, but Turner refused, telling him to leave it as it was.
At some point, my mother thought, Rosalind probably needs to get one of his paintings. And I went up to the house, and there was, a group of them lined up on the floor, and maybe a couple on the dresser. And it was a big, huge storm cloud up in the sky, just enormous black. And it was one of the bigger paintings. It was longer and rectangular. But, of course, that was not popular with my mother because she probably wanted me to choose something like a snow scene. But I loved it.
He was quite the character, even walking to Lincolnton and attending movies with the local kids.
People always around anywhere in the county knew who he was, and because he was also darn colorful. But now when you live till you're in your 90s, you've got plenty of time too for younger people to enjoy telling stories, and your fame can grow more, because he was leading the parade through Crouse in a car, and he did all sorts of things that were colorful that gave people stories to tell.
In the last years of his life, with failing sight and shaking hands, Mr. Lem didn't paint nearly as much. He passed away on April 28, 1977, 9 years after his wife Emma.
He was very tender to me, but he played jokes. I just know I enjoyed being around him. And of course was around him more as a child. He would take me down to the store to buy me a drink and some crackers, and that was a treat.
In the words of Gene Hefner, he was a wonderful person. And although he's been gone for many years, if you know where to look and who to talk to, you can still experience the life and art of Mr. Lem.